What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Diary of a Mad Preschool Teacher. I know it's been a minute, y'all. I'm back in the classroom and I'm trying to get it together, y'all, with my kids and this new company. So just quick update. Now I've officially been back in the classroom 3 months. It'll be four on the 23rd of this month. And I've been now head teacher for about two. And it's been interesting. So in this video, we're going to get into parent horror stories. Now, I wasn't sure how I was going to approach this video. I didn't know if I was going to just do a list, like just boom, 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 boom type of thing, or if I was going to get into an actual story time type of thing. So this video might be a little bit of both. And if you are in the education field, please feel free to drop one of your parent horror stories, because I know we all have them, especially if you've been a teacher for as long as I have. I know y'all got some horror stories. So I think I have three that we can get into. Yeah, it's three, and one is actually really, really, really recent. So my first one was when I was a teacher at Bright Horizons. I feel most of my horror stories come from Bright Horizons. I didn't have any full parent horror stories at TLE, but Bright Horizons, y'all, when I tell y'all, these parents gave me a run for my money. And considering I was so young when I started at BH, so it was like, you're impulsive to respond to everything because you feel attacked about everything. So I think, okay, so this first one had a kid. The little girl was okay. She wasn't a fan favorite, but she wasn't the worst of the worst kids that I've had. And she transfers from another center. And I could already tell her mother was very, very uppity and very rude. So they enrolled her in my class because everybody wanted my class, because my classroom at the time had a window. The other infant room had no natural sunlight. So we were the only infant room that had natural sunlight. She gets put in my room, and I feel the vibe was just off. Just completely, like, before an intake was even done, it was just, I had a feeling she was going to be an issue. And I can usually tell when parents are going to be issues. And 8 times out of 10, I'm usually right about a parent. So her first complaint with my room was she brought her daughter in, or she came to pick her up, and there were no toys out. Now, I'm that teacher, 3 o'clock, that's the magic hour. That's called use your imagination, because no teacher is trying to work till 6 o'clock and still have to clean up toys come 5:30, 6 o'clock. Like 6 o'clock, we're trying to be out the door. So we started washing our toys about 3 o'clock. So it's like we had stuff like sensory balls, sensory bottles, and floor mat stuff for this child to play with. She came in, and apparently that wasn't to her liking. And she told my boss she was going to buy us toys. Mind you, the sink was behind her full of toys. That was her first issue. Then her second problem, but she had her husband file this one, was that I had her daughter playing with a plastic bag, which wasn't the case. With babies, it is very hard to clean paint off of 8 infants. So what we used to do, we would put the paint on a canvas and stick the canvas inside of a bag and have them crawl, roll, toss the bag, do what they please. They called my boss and told my boss I had their child playing with a plastic bag. And I explained to my boss, why would I take a picture of their child playing with a plastic bag and then post it for them to see? Like, how stupid are you? Like, I'm like, this is really stupid that I would post a picture of your child playing with a plastic bag for you to see. Then she accused us of trying to poison her daughter. And when that happened, I told them this little girl had to get out of my room. This little girl had to go, because how are we trying to poison your daughter by giving her tap water? Like, there was no filtered water in the building. So it was either your daughter wasn't going to get water or she was going to get tap water, or you were going to provide the water. I've had parents bring in gallons of water for their kids. She had a fit. She apparently that was her last straw, that we were trying to poison her daughter. When in reality, your daughter was getting tap water. So they moved her out my class, which we were happy. Like, once that happened, we were ecstatic. Like, we're like, ding dong, which is that she's not going to be in our hair. Her daughter in turn goes to toddlers, and she gives the toddler teachers hell, which I had already knew was going to happen. Backtrack, while she was in our class, I said, hey, I'm going to call the center she transferred from to see if she was a problem there, because if you're a problem here, 9 times out of 10 you were a problem wherever you transferred from. Y'all, I called this center and spoke to the education coordinator, and she asked what was my call in reference to. I said, oh, one of your students came to my center and her mom is extremely problematic. The ed coordinator knew exactly who I was talking about, what child I was talking about, and she said that this parent was the exact same way at their place. Folks, I'm going to talk to the parents for a second. Please keep in mind, when you are bringing your most prized possession, your child, to complete and utter strangers, I would think you would be the nicest to us. If I had to deal with your child 10 hours out of the day, you should be asking me what I want for breakfast. You should be asking me, did I have lunch? Not complaining about me not having toys out or my toys being washed and you're buying toys. Like, I can appreciate a valid complaint, but her complaints were not valid. Oh, I have another story. See, I tell y'all, bright horizons, man. Good times, good stuff. Had another child. Y'all, this little girl, when I tell y'all, was doing nothing but crying all day. Wanted to be held nonstop. And I sympathize with the fact, because she was tiny. She had all these other things going on with her, right? So we started feeding her solid food. Now, this little girl, in turn, she was always vomiting. And I'm not talking about spitting up. As someone who has a ton of younger cousins, I know the difference between baby spit up and vomiting. This child was full-blown vomiting up bottles. Whether we gave her the bottles warm, cold, hot, in between, she was still bringing the milk up. Barely able to properly swallow food, but that's neither here nor there. So, in the beginning, her parents were like really nice. Like, when I say OD nice, too nice, in fact. And parents like that, you know, kind of throw me for a loop. Like, I can understand you being nice, but like, they were overly nice. Like, it was a little disturbing how nice they were to me and my co-teacher at the time. And it was really like towards Mandy. Like, they were really weirdly nice to Mandy. I don't know. And it made Mandy really uncomfortable at one point. So I emailed them one day and I'm telling them, you know, she's been throwing up, she's not eating, X, Y, and Z. Now, me protecting myself, I CC'd all my bosses on this email. Y'all, after I tell them that their child has been throwing up and we need to now start worrying about other milestones that she's not reaching, they lost their shit. I got written up and everything for this. And they were trying to tell me that their pediatrician told them that their daughter is advanced. And I tell people all the time, if you take your kids to Tribeca Pediatrics, please get a second opinion, because Tribeca Pediatrics will tell you anything. When I tell y'all this little girl's doing nothing an 8-month-old should be doing, yeah. In turn, now they're threatening my boss that they're going to pull her. I said, let them pull her. I don't care. They write me up, the little girl gets pulled. And what happens? She goes to my old center with one of the old infant teachers that I helped train. And I asked her, what was the first thing they told you about their daughter? And she said, oh, they say that she throws up a lot. But with me, I was exaggerating that she was throwing up. Okay, cool. Cool, y'all. Like that, yo. that was the final straw that made me stop being an infant teacher at Bright Horizons. I told them, you have to put me in preschool. I can't do this. If this is what this is going to be with these infant parents, I cannot do it. The remainder of my stay at Bright Horizons, I was a preschool teacher, and I was completely fine with it. Um, I'm trying to think, that definitely wasn't the story that I was going to tell. What was the third story? Was it a TLE parent? No, because I feel all my parents at TLE were actually really, really good. Actually, my TLE parents were probably some of the absolute best parents that I've had. Like, that group I had before COVID hit, amazing kids, amazing parents. Yeah, I didn't really have any beef with anybody at TLE. And my parents didn't really complain about me. Like, they told me, do me, which is what I always do. Damn, y'all, what was my other... Oh, I remember what the other Bright Horizon story was. So I had a parent, love him to death dearly. Like, I love him, his wife, his daughter. Amazing family. He recommends to his friend, myself and Mandy. They bring this little girl into my class. Now, as I always say, parents don't run my rooms. I run my classrooms. They thought they were going to come in and change everything around about my room. Oh, it's too much tiling. They need padding, X, Y, and Z. I said, my previous kids have been doing perfectly fine. Your daughter is not an exception to this rule. My directors came in. They were putting a puzzle rug that I had. They were putting this under another carpet without running it by me, without asking me how I felt about it. They just did it for the sake of pleasing his parents. So I, in turn, would put my room back together how I left it the day before. That was the issue. The toy animals we had were an issue. I told them, she cannot be in this class, and if that's the case. The mother was very rude. Like, when I tell y'all, just nasty, wouldn't speak, would just drop her child off, not speak, X, Y, Z. She was another one that really turned me off to being an infant teacher. And she had to go. When I tell y'all, it was like, it's either me or her at this point. Like, y'all either got to move her or I quit. They moved her. I tell you, like, it was like to the point all the Talia teachers were like, oh my God, how, like, we don't want her, we don't want her. Like, they were really fighting over whose class this girl was going to go to when she went to toddlers, because her parents were just that problematic. And it sucks because the little girl turned out to be such a sweet kid. And I feel bad when parents make their kids experience crappy, because this little girl ended up, like, once she got the twos, I adored her. Like, she would speak to me. She knew me by name. She would give me hugs. It was just her parents were to the shits. Now, my most recent horror story for parents. Now, keep in mind, this new place I'm at, I've only been there 3 months. I was set up, y'all. I was set up big time. I speak to this kid's parents, and they were mad because I told their nanny, who is also already just one very rude and very nasty, that this kid was not, he didn't have a good day. His listening wasn't up to par. He's distraction during circle time, which he is. And that if he thought he was coming to celebrate any type of birthday party on a day that he's not scheduled, he has to do good listening. Y'all, this nanny went home and told this kid's parents this, and they called. When I tell y'all they blacked on me on the phone, I had told my ED that day I was ready to quit. I said, y'all can find another twos teacher. Either he goes or I go, because it ain't gonna work. Mind y'all, the kid is already above age. He shouldn't even be in my class at this point, but that's another story for another day. His parents are on the phone going off. Now, I don't know what they were used to with this previous teacher, but I'm not one letting your son play for 4 hours. Like, if you're sending him to school to learn, he's going to do work. I don't appreciate the fact that my teaching methods were questioned, how I am as a teacher, when 10 other parents don't have problems with me. 10 other families don't have a problem. You're the only one with a problem with me. Turns out, you guys were an issue at another center as well. You see that ongoing trend, and none of this information is volunteered until shit hits the fan. They went off on me for about 30 minutes on the phone. And all I can do was just nod my head because I was just getting that annoyed, and I would have said something that I would have got fired for. Now, all of a sudden, they're so gun-ho for everything that I'm doing because it's making sense what I was doing. I tell parents all the time, I've been a teacher longer than you've been a parent. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at what I do, right? I just want parents to realize when you have a gripe with a teacher, one, unless it is your child being physically harmed, you don't need to involve admin in a lot of things. Because all you're doing is making the relationship between you and that teacher way harder than it needs to be. I am not a fan of parents who just jump to admin for every little, especially when admin is not going to take your side, because I think that's what they thought was going to happen, that admin was going to back their entire play and reprimand me. I got observed, and that was really it, and nobody had a complaint about any way I was running my classroom. Come on, it's me, baby. Come on, dopest preschool teacher out here in these streets. But y'all, some of these parents will make you really want to quit your job, especially when you're good at it. Like, I went home that day, like, I didn't want to go to work the next day. I was just really like, yo, I could have stayed a full-time nanny. I could have stayed a nanny, made more bread than what I'm making now, had pretty much my own schedule, and willingly worked when I wanted to. Y'all parents gotta do better. Go ahead, cut off that. But yeah, I just think a lot of you parents are not considerate of what teachers go through. One, we are severely underpaid. So already we're annoyed because we're not being paid what we deserve. It doesn't help if you're problematic. Like, we can handle children being problematic. Like, that's part of the job, and it can be fixed. You as a grown adult being problematic, I'd rather not deal with. I'd rather not. Like, I've seen parents yell at teachers, yell at admin, and it's like, all of that for what? Because in the end, the only person you're harming at this point is your child. Because as somebody, if I was an admin, sale or not, I would just tell you, take your child and vaya con Dios, and then you're screwed because you have to find somewhere else to put your child. Remember, there's always a waiting list. However you want to chop it, screw it, there's always a waiting list. Never forget that. But I think you guys could just be a little bit more sensitive to how you approach teachers. You know, you guys love saying use the sandwich method. Sometimes the sandwich method doesn't work if your child did not have a good day. I'm sorry, there are some days where your child just didn't have a good day and there's nothing positive I can say about their day. However, what can we do to ensure that they have a positive day tomorrow? You don't think of that, though. You guys just want to harbor on that one day of me telling you your child had a rough day. But that's all I'm going to say about it. You just got to be a little bit more sensitive to your child's teachers at this point, so you don't end up as a parent horror story. Because trust me, we talk the same way you parents talk, teachers talk. We have group chats. We speak to people from other, especially if it's a chain company, we speak to teachers from other centers. So just be mindful, the same way you guys talk, we talk as well. And you don't want to end up a parent horror story, because when you do, nothing good comes out of being a parent horror story. But thank you guys for watching this episode of Diary of a Mad Preschool Teacher, the Parent Horror Story editions. I'll probably be back with a part 2, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.